Hi guys. In this video I'm just going to show you how to make or to put some concave in your longboard, and preferably cheap and easy. So once again, I've got our board, I've got the outline drawn onto it. Always do that first, center line too. This is the board we're going to try and, or the kind of board we're going to try and make. This is one I made about a year ago or so. You can see I don't know if you can see the concave in it. Let's put it down. You can see the concave in it there. So something like that. So this is the setup I'm going to be using. As you can see, it's just a piece of wood that I've clamped in my workmate. The workmate is good to work with, but you could use any table or whatever. You could even have just a coffee table, put a few books on top and do it that way. Anyway, I choose to do it this way. The idea is that the board is placed on top, and using the straps you can see in the background, these will make things a lot easier. I will bend it over the piece of wood. You'll see later on. Alright, they're all glued up and aligned. Make sure your boards are all at the same level. Also, I have a lot of these wood clamps, which can be very helpful, but if you don't have these you could always screw the edges together, and if you don't have these you can use rope, sellotape, weights, anything. Be creative, I suppose. This is the basic idea. Put the straps on, tighten them up, and you can see the curve in the board there. Make sure that the center of your board is on the center of this block so that it curves evenly on both sides, or as evenly as possible, because I'm not quite sure about this one. So, time for the clamps. So, all clamped up. I'm not too happy with this here around the nose area. It's not quite tight enough, so what I'm going to do is drill some holes or some screws in the outside, well outside the outline, say about there, and pull them together as well. So put a couple of screws in there, you can see. I like the idea, so I put a couple more in the back. I suppose if you don't have any clamps you could just use the screwing method, but I've never tried that. And that was all the screws. You can see the curve in the board here. So, next step is to cut the shape out and see how well the glue is stuck. Good. So I've finished cutting out the basic outline of the board, as you can see, and there's your curve. It'll be more obvious when we sand the board. What you want to do now is check down the side of the board, come on, focus camera, whatever, that it's all glued up correctly, because if you have any spots, that's where it's going to crack later on. So if you're lucky you can touch up with a bit of glue, but try and get it right the first time. we go. Perfect. So, working on the holes for the trucks, I've decided to drop them through so I can get this out. Yep, there we go. I made a hole in the side of it. You can just do that by drilling one hole and then putting whatever saw you have in and sawing the square out, and then use a file or sandpaper again to fix it. It's not neat yet, but it fits, so that's nice. Just using the file to get the right size. I need both hands to do that, but to make it fit in easily. It's quite nice, it's the wrong way around. So what I'm trying to do here is using a tiny chisel, trying to chisel out the outline of the truck so it'll lie flat on the deck. It's a bit of an afterthought doing that, but I thought I'd give it a go and or a go and see what it's like. I'm sorry about the focus, guys. I don't know what's up with my camera. Anyway, back to some chiseling. I've chiseled around the base plate, so now I can get it in. It looks like this. Not brilliant, but when you pop it in, just press it a bit. I'm gonna have to sand this down so that it's really flush, but I mean, that's pretty cool. I think because the truck is going to be, or the wheels are going to be close to the board, I might have to cut a bit out to make sure it doesn't touch the board when you're going around the corner. But I'll have to try that when I have the wheels on. Alright, that's the outline done. Now, carefully, tiny bits at a time, I try and chisel it out lengthwise. I tried to give you a close-up of this, but as you see, I need both hands. So, you're just going to have to look very closely. Using a file to round off the nose and the tail, just roughly now, we'll finish it off later. If you don't have all these tools, you can use sandpaper to do this, or you can rub it on a brick wall. And the same goes for the saw. I mean, I have a jigsaw, but if you don't, just do it by hand. So I use the workmate and the jigsaw and the files and the clamps, but basically you could have done just any kind of table or something elevated with something on top of that, which you can tie the board down on, a couple of screws, a handsaw, and some sandpaper. It's just going to take a little bit longer, but if you don't have the tools, it doesn't mean you can't do it. But when you have the tools, you're going to use them because it's so much easier. No, not easier, faster. This is actually something pretty cool I learned or figured out, is that when you want to round something off, you use something very straight. Now I've just noticed the curve isn't quite right, it's not quite even, so what I'm going to do is just pull this over the curve and it'll make it perfectly round. When I first figured that out, I was really impressed because, well, it seems so wrong or illogical or strange or other English words. So I've finished rough shaping the holes for the trucks in there and in there. They look horrible now, but they'll be sanded and hopefully they'll look a lot better. What I'm going to do now is just shape the rails a bit so it looks a lot better. I'm going to use the planer first, but you can use sandpaper, it just takes a bit longer. But it's a fun thing to do, and again, if you use this, if you're not careful, you take off too much and, well, you know, you've got to find a way around it. I'm still learning to use the planer, but one thing I have learned is do as little as possible per stroke, otherwise it just turns into a mess, which is sort of happening here. I think I can save it though. Famous last words, eh? That was a nice one. A lot better. Okay, that's alright for now, because you don't want to get the differences between the sides too big, so do a bit on the one side, then a bit on the other, and then go back and forth so you can keep them about the same. What I usually do is do a bit with the planer and then I sand it down so that I can see, you get a lot closer look and feel of what it is and where you want it. So often I sand it a bit and then I go back to the planer and then I sand it a bit. It's probably not the most efficient, but it works for me, and I'm always worried about taking too much off. So, you know, if you've got time, why not? Because my camera's focus is broken, but you probably won't be able to see this, but this side is just rough done. This side I've sanded and is already a lot smoother. But I can see now that I want a lot more off at the front and at the back. Actually, only the middle part is alright. And this, now it's better here, slightly. So I've sanded the corners here so that it's all nice and smooth. And now, to finish it off, I'm going to give it a couple of coats of varnish. This is the stuff I use. Very slim chance you'll be able to get that, but just get whatever that's shiny. And there's the finished board. I put some grip tape on, as you can see. You can just see the concave. I quite like the way the drop through worked out. And it's strong enough, even with the chiseling I did. Here's the board we modelled it on. You can see there's a bit more concave in that, so that's probably about the right amount. There's not quite enough in this one, so the strap should have been slightly tighter right at the beginning. And once again, I'd like to say that this board, which is a year old, is still going strong. And I think that's because I used the grain the right way. You can see the grain is going this way. On this board I made a stupid mistake, and it's going across the board. Don't do that.